there, welcome into the Maize and Blues. Good afternoon, Michigan football, 1 o'clock on this Wednesday, the 22nd. Great to have former Wolverine Jim Scarcelli with us as we kick this show off. Scar, great to see you. What's going on?
Hey, Denny, we don't rebuild, man. We reload, baby. We reload. I was at practice. Everything's looking great. We're getting recruits. We're going into Ohio, taking kids that the Buckeyes want. It don't get no better than that, man. They're going crazy up there in Columbus. Third base. They're coming after third base, man. Coming after them.
All right. Yeah, it's a fun day. Scar mentioned it. Michigan gets a couple football commitments. One just a little while ago, and then a big one last night. We'll talk about those guys. And then Scar mentioned it. He went to practice. Now, Scar, for people that don't know, there might be one or two people that are tuning in. They're like, okay, Scarcelli, you see the Victor's Club shirt, played at Michigan. You're in a pretty exclusive club. You played major college football. You played at a top 25 program like Michigan. And then what makes it even more an exclusive club than that, you were down at practice, which, not many people get to go to. So we're really happy that, you're on with us here so you can share some of the sights and sounds and what you saw down there. What'd you see? Was it a fun time?
Oh yeah, just a lot of energy. And Danny, I got to start with the leader, man. We got the right guy leading things. Now, hey, I know I'm maybe a little biased. He's my former teammate, but he is running the show. He is a great leader. I'm seeing it, man. You just surround yourself with great people. He's got great coaches. We got no weak links in the coaching staff. None. I watched all them guys coach. I know they can recruit. I watched them. They're just great teachers, teaching the little things, teaching technique. And he's just surrounded himself with great assistant coach. Then we got a bunch of really good analysts. Again, I've talked about the analysts. I see Denard down there shaking hands, talking to recruits. I see Freddie Jackson down there. Those guys talking to recruits, and my old buddy Mike Mallory working out down there, and Doug Mallory, and just a lot of great analysts. He's got old man Minter down there doing some things, and we're getting them, man. We got the great film room, we got the trainers, we got the strength coaches, and we got good players. And you really see the talent. But I really liked that. Just we got Jim is got it going, man, from all levels. There's a lot of real good players. Our talent level is strong at every position. I'll get into that in a little bit, some of it. But special teams, Danny, we emphasize special teams. It's worked on throughout practice. The best players, there's no hey, he's a starter. No, man. The special team coaches, you want a guy on special teams, you get him in there. They work on it, and it's emphasized. So that's why we've done well on special teams.
I was talking with someone who echoed a lot of your sentiments there, but he said, everybody was looking good, but then he said, hey, the two guys that were in the best shape over 40 were you and Harbaugh. They said that, he couldn't believe how good you guys look. But then he said just overall energy with the coaches, and there wasn't a lot of guys standing around on a knee or driving around in a golf cart. He said Harbaugh was right in the middle of everything. And like for 3 hours, it was pretty high paced and pretty good vibe. He was pretty impressed just with the overall energy and the to-do list in a practice. You've been around a lot of practices there. Did you notice that tempo as well?
Yeah, Danny, it's just like any organization, man. You got a dead ass leader, you're going to have everybody else going to be dead, but you got a fired up, get after it leader. That's what you're going to have. It just trickles down. And Jim's a fired up guy. That's how he coaches, and you can see it. He's not tolerating any, average enthusiasm from an enthusiasm standpoint. He talks about, the what is that? What is his phrase? An enthusiasm unknown to mankind. I mean, the guy lives it. So I took a look at linebackers. I guess I could start with that. It's just like I thought. We got some really, really good players there, man. And there's depth, and they're all back. They're a year older. Rolder looks bigger and stronger and good. I've always said, at least for me, I think the most improvement is, that first year as a freshman, you come in during the season, you're just your first time with the big boys, but then you get into spring, you go through spring, and you go through a winter of strength coach, and so he looks bigger and stronger and good. And Hausman is a good looking athlete. So there's Hill Green is healthy now, and then junior. So you got 4 real good ones in there. That position is solid. And I was watching Partridge coach, and he's just like I remembered him before. He's a real detailed guy. I'd love to play for him. Fired up, full of positive energy, and you can see the guys respond to him. And that position is I just think it's well coached, and there's a lot of good players there, man.
Well, Scar, give me an idea. You're down there on the practice field. Are you tucked away in the corner? You said you're watching the linebackers. Are you able to go over there and after they're done or anything? I mean, you given any pointers to the players? You talking? Guys, what are you doing?
I'm just a fly on the wall, man. I'm just taking a look, man. But I've been going to practices since 1980, Denny, when I was getting recruited. I've been to a couple practices every year for a long time. So I've seen a lot of coaches and players down there. But yeah, I'm a former coach. So I like to watch guys coach. Coaches go down there and you're listening to the coaching points, and you're watching how they run their drills. A bunch of, really interesting drills. Coaches are always coming up with new drills to see but when I'm watching these guys coach, I was watching Mike Elston, man, and I really impressed with him. And I see why our guys play such good technique, because he just, he really emphasizes the little things, and he's not in a hurry to go through reps, just really emphasizing, great technique, man. And it shows on the field. So I was impressed with him. And there's a lot of good players at our D-line position. I was really like seeing the improvement from Kenneth Grant. He looks bigger, stronger. So that was a position that I wanted to take a good look at. And of course, Jenkins and Graham, those guys are going to be solid. But
tell me a little bit more about Jimmy Rolder. If you're watching those linebackers, he was a guy that I remember watching at one point in the season last year, and I had to look down. I'm like, wait a second, who's the 28? I'm not picturing it. So he was out there and got some time, last year as a true freshman. Does he look bigger? Does he look faster?
Yeah, he gained some weight, and he looks thicker, Danny. He's again, those kids go through a good winter conditioning, and they get in that training table, and he looks a little I coach that position, and it's one of those positions early on, man. Kids everything's so fast in there at inside linebacker. And it's hard to really get the game to slow down for you. And I think, through repetitions, more repetitions, you're seeing a guy like him, get the game's going to slow down. He's going to read and react. And I just really like that position group. And I'm not going to cover all the groups today. I'm going to save some for next week, but we'll get into some of it. Definitely want to see some more big plays at the line of scrimmage from the linebacker core. That's a statement from Detroit. Well, hey, I thought our linebacker. Michael Barrett looked good too. I forgot about Michael Barrett. How the hell did I forget about him? Yeah, he's a bigger, thicker kid than I thought. Maybe he's gotten bigger than that from the season, but he's a good looking kid. I shook his hand before practice, and nice kid. And that position, again, man, that position's in great shape, Denny. And he looks good and strong. He's big enough to take on the physical stuff and fast enough to play the spread people.
All right. So there with the linebackers, defensive line, defensive tackles. Are you saving the offense for next week? Give me a little bit more.
Okay, let me get into let's talk offensive line real quick.
All right.
Let me just say this. Again, we got 2 real good coaches there, man. I'm looking at Sharon Moore, big former tackle, and then big Grant Newsome. We got the tallest offensive line coaches in the country, Danny. 2 big former tackles, good players, and they are coaching up guys. And that position group is serious talent and depth. Year older. I saw the Henderson kid there. He's not be able to do stuff yet. and some of those guys weren't really able to do stuff yet. But again, it's just like I thought it would be. There's a lot of depth and a lot of talent there. Jeff, those guys all look a little stronger going through winter conditioning, and Jeff Percy looks good, and El Hadid looks good, and I saw Raheem Anderson. There's a freshman there. I got to meet kid from West Bloomfield, Herring.
Amir Herring, yeah.
Yeah, he looks good looking kid for a freshman in there, man. This kid should be getting ready for prom. He's a 17-year-old kid. And he's a good-looking, athletic kid. Got a chance to meet his dad. Great guy. And a lot of energy there, a lot of good drills, a lot of depth. Saw big Hinton out there. He's a good, he'll get his chance to compete. And big 53, what's his name? Jones?
Trente Jones.
Yeah, all these guys are back, man, and they're all a year, older and stronger, and there's just a lot of competition there, man. There's going to be, it is what it is, man. You come to Michigan, you're gonna compete, but I could just tell you, I feel real good about the depth there. And
yeah, a lot of those guys that I mean, that Zinter and Keegan, those guys just working out. Probably in the weight room, how many reps they need to get. Those guys are ready to go for the season. But then, you got another, 6-8 guys that you could talk about with a real possibility to be in there.
The thing about Keegan though too is, he was in and out with injuries at times. So you got to have a guy ready for him. Zinner hasn't missed much, and obviously the center position is wide open. So there's the Stanford kid will be competing with that, and I really like Sharon Moore, Newsome. If I'm an offensive lineman and I get to talk to those guys and watch those guys coach, I can tell why apparently we just got a commitment from a big kid from Ohio. Yes. Big offensive tackle from St. Ed's in Cleveland. We used to get a lot of, I played with guys from St. Ed's. We used to always go in there and get kids. So that's a kid Penn State wanted. I know, Danny, you'll talk about recruiting in a minute, but that's 2 Ohio kids. That's great news, man. Penn State offered the tackle. The Buckeyes wanted the running back. That's old school. That's the way it used to be back in the day when we would go in there and get kids from the Buckeyes.
Scar, any of these guys, we know the stars, Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, they're not in spring, so are participating because of the knee and the hand. So, you've got a lot of reps for, guys like CJ Stokes and Dunlap and Gash, and
those guys are. Hey, Denny, the number 20, what's his name?
Khalil Mullings.
He looks good, big, strong, looks bigger, better. He's a tough kid, man. Those guys are all Dunlap look put together. You're going to see him in the spring game here. Everybody's going to make their own decisions, but my evaluation of that the running back group, I was going to get into them a little more next week, but.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we got a lot of good-looking depth there, man. Mullings is going to be – we're going to – short yardage. If they don't want to give it to Corum or Donovan, I feel good about Mullings. He's a big, strong kid. He looks like he ain't been missing many meals in that training table. So, and then the freshman, there's a freshman there, the kid from Georgia.
Benjamin Hall.
Is that the kid? He's supposed to be in high school? We hit the jackpot with that kid too, I think. And you're going to see him in the spring game. Again, people can make up. But to me, what I saw a good-looking kid there. Big, thick, stout, tough kid. I think that's a good pickup there. He looked good.
Sounds like you've been exchanging texts with Antoine. He was on here yesterday, talking Ben Hall up, saying, "Hey, look out."
He's right, man. He looked good. I mean, that's the future. You got to start. You got to keep us stocked. But the running back room. And Mike Hart, he's a fired up coach, real good coach. Details, little things, full of energy and enthusiasm. I'll say this about our quarterback situation. JJ looking good out there. You can just the confidence. You're older. He's running the show, man. He's looked good throwing. But all them other quarterbacks, I really like the Tuttle kid. You look at a guy who plays quarterback at Indiana, I was telling my buddy this, and say, okay, whatever he did at Indiana, well, guess what? If he has to go in the game now, it's different playing quarterback with that Michigan run game in front of you instead of that Indiana run game or these Michigan receivers, So I was impressed with them. And Davis Warren looked a little leaner and quick. He throws a good, accurate ball. I watched Orgy. I watched Donegal. Those guys are still, they're all playing, getting reps. Jim gave them all reps. And, but I think that position's in really good shape. I thought I was impressed with Tuttle.
Did McCarthy, they said he put 10 pounds on. Could you tell that by just watching him out there throwing the ball?
Well, he looked. I'm not really, Denny. He doesn't look.
Yeah.
I've seen him in the past, but if that's the case, that's good. But he's throwing the ball all over the place, strong. Positive kid, running the show. Looks like a guy that's running the show. Looks like a guy at practice that's the starting quarterback. Motivating his teammates. A guy that I'd like to play with. A guy that I'd like to coach. I'll say this. When we ran the double pass against Iowa, we never ran it all year before that game. You remember that play?
Donovan Edwards? Yeah.
Yeah. You remember when we ran the Statue of Liberty against Ohio State? We never ran that play all year. All I'm going to tell you is this. We got stuff we're working on. I saw some things, but that's when you work on things, Denny, in the spring. You got to have something in your bag of tricks for when we got to go into East Lansing or when we got to go over to see the Nittany Lions.
Were they fine-tuning the technique of the Philly special? I'm just kidding. Scar, I want to call a timeout.
Okay, you got me on that one. They defended it. But, how about the halfback pass with Donovan? That worked. How about the Statue of Liberty? That worked. You got to give them credit where credit's due.
Oh, you mean the jump pass to Mullings? Yeah.
The jump pass, too. Anyway, I see creative coaches. Obviously, you see the bread and butter, but we're going to have stuff that we're working on, man. Keep them guessing.
And look, overall, I'm just having the fun with the Philly special. I think they should have audibled out of it. That was just one of the 5 big plays that, along with the 2 pick sixes and the fumble at the goal line, Quentin Johnson for 76 yards. They make any of those plays. I think they're playing in the championship game. So I don't have a lot of criticism actually for the coaching staff. I look at some things and wonder about some of the plays and personnel and everything else. The timeout for you, Scar, is we've got a throwback. Gary says, you guys have a great show, Jim and Dennis. And he says he worked on at Tiger Stadium with Jim, ran security. Nice to see you, he says. How about that?
Oh, yeah, the good old days down there. We had fun. I worked with a lot of great people. I worked with a Trivial Pursuit question. You know who the Jackie Robinson of basketball is, of the NBA?
The
first black professional basketball player?
Yeah, I think I do. I think he played for the Celtics.
Now, his name was Earl Lloyd. He worked with me down there a couple of years.
And you're saying that he broke the color barrier?
Yeah, he is. He was a Trivial Pursuit question. Earl Lloyd, check him out. Anyway, I had a lot of really good people that worked down there. We had a lot of fun. And it was a great experience. And but that's all right, Gary. Yeah, I remember Gary. I think I remember Gary. We had a lot of fun, good times. But what else do I got?
Detroit's asking you a question. How about, maybe we're saving the wide. I think Scar's saving the wide receivers. He's asking a question.
Yeah, that's next week. I don't, to be honest with you, I was just watching so much other stuff. I didn't get a good look at that. I will say this. The guy that's the real deal, our corners, we're going to have that position group might be the best in the conference. Last year I said our 2 interior guys with Jenkins and Mozzie.
Yeah.
But with our 2 corners and that kid, number 1, he's the real deal. He's a good looking. They ain't throwing no more jump balls with Michigan State. No, they ain't throwing no jump balls at number one.
Amari and Walker. You like?
Yeah, they ain't throwing jump balls at him, man. That's a good looking athlete right there. He'll come up and tackle too. So I like our corners. I like, that defense. I didn't see any weak links at all, but that kid's the real deal. You're going to see him in the spring game. It's amazing how well he moves for how big he is. Kid's about 6'3", and I'll say this too, Danny, because I went through spring football, and it's tough, and it's it was really physical and tough demanding when I played full contact most of the practices. I just want to say this about Jim, and I don't know what the other guys are doing at other schools, but he's smart about the amount of contact that they do. You obviously you want to get better, you want to teach, but you don't want to beat guys up. And I really liked the way you can teach football without beating guys up. You don't have to ask a guy every day to prove his toughness. I remember my coach telling me that is when I was getting into coaching. You don't have to ask a guy every day to prove how tough he is. You know what I mean? In practice. So by beating him up. So I just thought that there was, that's a smart leader. Again, doing smart things. Jenkins looks bigger and thicker. I know there was an article about it that he got bigger. I don't want to block that dude. I'll tell you that. That guy's, that's a brick. Him and Mason Graham, I don't want to block them. So that position group is, but again, like I said, I just want to see Kenny Graham, and he looked good. Kenneth Graham looked like a guy who's been getting more reps. He plays with good technique. He's getting good coaching from Mike Elston.
Scar, you mentioned coaching earlier. You said old mentor. Did you mean the Michigan's co-defensive coordinator Jesse Minter, or were you saying old?
No, the old man, Rick. The old man. I know the old man from way back when he was. I knew him when he was coaching at Ball State. He was a defensive coordinator back in the day. I remember from the Michigan camp. I remember the Michigan camp working with Rick Minter, working with John Harbaugh when he was at Cincinnati, and a lot of these guys, Cam Cameron when they were young coaches. Anyway, I go way. So he's involved. He's an analyst, and he's a real, that's a great guy to have around, man, because he was a head coach at Cincinnati, built Cincinnati football. He was a great defensive coach, defensive coordinator at Ball State. So he's there. I shook his hand. I saw him. He's involved. And again, it's part of that. It's part of great leadership, surrounding yourself with great people.
Yeah, and I think the rule is now, it wasn't last year. I think Michigan got dinged for it, but you can have as many analysts as you want down there. So you can have as many coaches and analysts and everything else. So I think they've taken
supposedly they expanded. They've expanded what they can do. I didn't take a good look as to what those guys were doing. But they can do more. They can, because I saw, I don't know. I don't want to comment. I know they can do more, but.
Yeah, I got it. You don't want to say that, you saw.
Yeah, I don't want to, I just know they're there and they're around and they're good. Those analysts are good. We got good guys that are involved, that are bringing something to the table.
Now, Scar, this last week, almost every day pretty much every day, certainly on the weekends, I hear about all these different recruits. And, you mentioned Denard was down there shaking a bunch of hands and everything. You were down there. Did you notice that did you recognize? I mean, like, I don't know, like Jaden Davis, was he down there?
No, he wasn't there. I went down on Friday. I guess he came in Sunday. So I didn't see him, but I did meet a couple guys. A couple recruits, and I guess I'm allowed to talk about them. Steve Frazier, great center for the Wolverines back in the late 90s. His son, Blake, out of Austin, Texas, is getting recruited. Michigan's offered. Good-looking kid, big kid. I looked at his film. This kid's an athlete. just a real good looking kid. And he's put together, man. It says 260. He might be 270 now, but impressive looking kid. So hopefully we can get him to follow dad. But, he's down there in Austin. A kid he grew his whole, people just assume that the old man went to Michigan. But, think about it. He grew up in Texas. That's all he's heard. So, we're going to have to recruit him, man. But he's up there. He's visiting Michigan. So hopefully, he sees what the old man saw. But he was there with dad. I was impressed with both of them. I got a chance to meet a guy that they're looking at, young sophomore, Alexander McPherson, a kid from Florida. He's only a sophomore. And I looked at his film, and he is a good-looking player, athletic, tough. He's only a 15, 16-year-old kid. He'll get bigger. He'll get stronger. But you can see the athleticism. You can see the toughness. So they got him on there. They're evaluating him. He is a guy they're definitely going to be watching. I know he spent some time with Coach Elston. You know who I got to meet, Denny? And I got to meet all of them because a couple of them guys are from my neck of the woods. One of them knew anyway, I got a connection to one of them. But I met the long snappers, all three of them. They're all you got Greg Tarr, kid from Romeo. He was the kid that went in after Wagner got hurt. I mean, we got real good long snappers. People say long snappers. Well, let me tell you, when you coach, you know about your long snapper. Okay, you better have a long snapper if you plan on punting the football. So I bet all those guys, and they're a real good group of guys. William Wagner, Evan Butterwick, and Greg Tarr. And I watched those guys work, and I talked to them for a minute. And all of them are back. The two guys that played a lot last year are back. And they're in the weight room. You can tell they're in the weight room, man. They look good. They're fit guys. But I got to talk to those guys. I was impressed with all of them. Team guys, and the long snapper position is solid.
Well, that's good. I hope this is the last time. Nothing against you, but I don't want to know the long snapper's name. If they're doing their job, you don't know who the long snapper's name is.
See, Denny, that's BS. Because we got to give some love to those guys every now and then. That's the problem with media. Media just wants to talk. Because I was that former coach, and then you call the paper after the game, and all he wants to talk about is the guy that scored a touchdown. Like, well, hold up, man. I got guys blocking, and they don't want to write about those guys. They don't want to write about the kid that was a perfect longs. You got to force them. You know what I mean? You got to tell them. You got to change the narrative, man. It ain't all about the guy you gave the ball to on the 1 yard line. Forget that, man. What about these guys blocking? What about it ain't about the guy with the most tackles. What about Big Mozzie up here taking on double teams? And Jenkins, you're not calling their name out. So that's where, I'm a coach, man. I know about these guys that the media don't want to talk about. Well, I'm now the media, so I'm going to talk about them.
Well, it's actually in vogue now. The punter for the Colts now that has gone on for huge success. One of the biggest guys in the media. He loves talking about the special teams, the operation from the long snapper to the holder to the punter. So they're getting a lot of love. Nowadays. My point is that's one of those positions that you really don't hear a lot about until they screw it up. So kind of like an umpire. You don't want to know the umpire means he's a good umpire. Caddis's name was a guy that was around, I think, when you played. His kid, was he hanging around? Tucker Caddis.
He wasn't there when I was there, but yeah, I played with Eric, and his son is getting recruited, and he's a good-looking player, another Ohio kid. And that would be great to snag another Ohio kid that Michigan has already offered. And but he was not there. And that's again another former player's kid. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it'd be nice to get him.
Were you down there when the scouts for the NFL guys?
Oh yeah, I saw that breaking up. I saw big Mike Morris. Yeah, he's every bit of 6'6". I shook his hand. I just told him how I played his position, and there's a brotherhood there. I don't care when you played. I just told him I was real impressed with him and proud of him.
I had some inside scoop on that, Scar. They said they were going around and tape measuring guys' biceps, and they came over to you. They said the only guy that had bigger arms than you was Schoonmaker. They kind of was over there, so you still got it going.
I'm all washed up, Denny. I'm washed up. But I saw, what's his name? DJ, the corner.
Turner?
Yeah, I shook his hand.
Turner? DJ
nice
Turner?
Kid. Yeah, them guys, he did some drills. Some of those guys went to the combine.
Yeah.
And then some of them, I didn't get it. When I was playing, I didn't get invited to the combine. Only certain guys did. I remember going through pro day in Ann Arbor, the 40, the shuttles, the high jump, all that stuff, long jump. And I was just reading, Danny, I don't know, something to talk about. I just saw this today. The Big 12 is doing a combine just for Big 12 players starting next year. So that's interesting. I don't know if they're going to pay, if the schools will pay to get each kid there, that put them up in a hotel and get their transportation. But it may be something that the Big Ten might do also to make it easier for the NFL, or maybe even help. Again, all that stuff can help recruiting. And okay, because they're going to use it against you. The Big 12 will say, "Oh, we're doing this," and the Big Ten's going to. I bet you any money the Big Ten's going to step up so that they can't use it against them in recruiting.
I think Harbaugh's, and I don't know if he stopped doing it, but it seemed like in his early tenure that he had all of the Michigan guys with the cone drills, and they went through their own team combine, and they had all those numbers. And
yeah, Danny, we did. Yeah, they've been doing that since I played. It's just
whether they're putting it out there where you're able to see it. I think in some of that they were. I don't know if that information's all readily available. Like if I could get in there and say, hey, what was, how many reps could TJ Guy do with, with 225 or something? I don't know if I could reference all of that and be able to go up and look it up or not. You can do it. I mean, that information, whether they want to or not, I know they bring in selective reporters and stuff. There's a guy that Feldman from the Athletic in the summer, he's doing this popular freak list, and, Michigan's got all these, just like all schools, they got all these different things that they're doing. And they say, oh yeah, we've got a couple guys, and they want to be on that list. Actually, the last 2 years, I think Michigan had the number one guy. They had Mozzie Smith last year, and I think the year before that it was Kwity Paye that was number one.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That means we're recruiting good athletes, and Ben Herbert's getting it done. But yeah, I saw Jordan Marshall play, Danny, from Cincinnati Moeller. I watched him last year. They played up here at King. I watched him go against Dante Jones last year. So that is such a huge recruit, because the Buckeyes offered, Danny, that kid, and we went into Cincinnati Moeller and got that kid. And third base is sweating. There got to be, this is what we want. We want people questioning what's going on in Columbus, stabbing each other in the back. We want third base. We want third base feeling the pressure. And this right here is huge, that we can go in there, and this kid's a player, man.
I like it. We're going to watch some tape on him. Let's get some questions in. Antoine says, ask Scar if Michigan intends on using its offensive line depth. We've got too many offensive linemen not to use them. Did he see any orgy special packages? I'm not sure he's going to reveal if he saw any like special packages.
Well, that's the problem with, offensive linemen. Most teams don't rotate offensive linemen as much as defensive linemen. I mean, if you have 10 offensive linemen and 10 defensive linemen, there's a better chance that all 10 of those defensive linemen will play in a game, because people rotate them, because there's more wear and tear on them. But you don't see it much from offensive line coaches. They like to keep those guys in. But yeah, Antoine, I don't know if these coaches believe in that. Most don't. They like to stay with that continuity from the communication and all that. All I can tell you is there's good depth there, and there's good players there. And I feel bad for some of those guys that are going to be like really good players, and then they got to find a way to keep them there if they can. So
how about answer this question from Courtney? With all the weapons, I have my idea about this one. Courtney asking, with all of our weapons, will we go to a more up-tempo offense?
You know, the thing about the rule change, Danny, the game is going to be shorter now. So this makes sense for Michigan if we have better players than the majority of the people that we play. It would make sense that we run at a faster tempo to try to run more plays. You know what I mean? To wear down their defense more, who may not have as many good players. I don't know what they're going to do, but as far as Antoine and the orgy package, I saw the quarterback run. That stuff's in, man. All that stuff is in. I think with any quarterback now for Michigan. But I did see Orgy getting reps like all the other quarterbacks. And look at the moves this kid has. Yeah, I saw him up close, man.
This is Jordan Marshall. We're watching a little bit of his highlight.
Look at the wiggle. Look at the move right there. The speed. Look at the move there. Look at this. Then he's out there. That's some of that stuff you can't coach, man. So Michael Hart was big on recruiting him. The vision, the cut. Look at that. You can't coach some. Look at that. That's quorum, man. That's what you don't want to. That's what I want, man. Is in my backfield. I want guys that make people miss. I don't want to have to block all them linebackers. You know, you got to make some guys miss.
It looks like he's got some home run ability.
And then he's got the home run speed too. Yeah, that's what I want right there. Secure the football, pass protect. Here's a little toss, reading it. Yeah, well blocked. A well-blocked play. Here's making a guy. Look at this downfield stuff, man. Yeah, you got some good film there, Denny.
Wow, that's a nice right there. I'll tell you that. That was, he looks like he's in college already.
Look at the man. This guy has got some shake, man. He has got some shake.
Good feet. Does he just score touchdowns? The only thing we're doing.
But he's making guys miss, Denny. I can see where this kid is a big-time recruit. He is making guys miss.
Hey, they tackled him.
Yeah, because anybody can run a play when it's well blocked, and then get tackled by the linebacker for an 8-yard gain. Okay, that's a lot of guys can do that. But who's the guy that can? Now here he can. Can he catch the football? Yeah, we got to have a guy that can catch the ball.
Yes.
Who's the guy when a play is well blocked and that linebacker's sitting there and you make him miss? This guy's making all kinds of guys miss.
Let's see what kind of hands he's got here going out on a route. Oh, nice. Little seam route.
Cincinnati Moeller, well coached. I know the head coach from way back at the camp. He was a former college coach. And that's a real good program. They're going to have 150 kids go out for football. And look at him bounce it out there. Yeah, Denny, this is one of those guys you put on the film. You can tell in about 10 plays. You've seen enough.
Yeah.
Look at the toughness. He's got the toughness. He's got the shake. He's got the breakaway speed. He falls forward, gets the extra yard.
Extra 5 there.
They got to teach him. I haven't seen any pass protection. These guys don't want to put any of that stuff in the highlight film. I like to see that. I want to see a guy put his, step up and meet a defensive end, pass protect.
Yeah, well,
this is a well-coached team. You can see they know how to block. These plays are blocked. But at the same time, you can see he makes guys miss because that play is well blocked.
Touchdown.
Here's a little screen pass, makes a big guy miss.
Knock that guy backward.
Yeah, Danny, this kid can play, and it's Cincinnati Moeller. We're going right into the heart of Buckeye land. We used to crush them. We used to get a lot of guys from Cincinnati. I played with a lot of guys from Cincinnati. And this is good. We got to get back in there. We got a lot of former players over there in Cincinnati can help recruit. And this is good. This is great news.
One more. Let's see it.
Yeah, you can catch the football. They're not afraid to throw it to them.
Well, I like that. So, Dar, that is the news. Michigan picking up Jordan Marshall. They also picked up in the state of Ohio, out of Lakewood, Ohio, Big Ben Roebuck, 6'7", 320. That just happened last hour. Michigan being able to pick up.
He's out of St. Ed's. I played with a great linebacker by the name of Paul Geargash back in the day. We got a lot of St. Ed's guys. And this kid, I don't know if the Buckeyes offered. We'll find out. But the Penn State offered. So other Big Ten teams have offered. Penn State offered this kid. Again, we're going into Cleveland, Cincinnati getting guys, Cleveland getting guys. Now that's when it doesn't happen overnight, Denny. You know, you don't build it overnight. And Jim is getting that recruiting going back again now, where we can start punching our way around Ohio a little bit.
There's a Michigan buzz in the Buckeye State.
Yeah, you got Harbaugh's got Ohio ties. He was born in Ohio. And you got Klink. He's from Youngstown. So here's another Ohio guy.
If you look, Michigan is up to 9. I'm not 100% sure. Zach Ludwig, over the last 24 hours, a linebacker out of Pennsylvania. We'll see. He's listed. Rivals has him there. We'll see if he ends up being in this class. But just think about, out of the 9 guys that they have right now committed, Marshall, that's one from Ohio. Hammond, that's one from Ohio. Hamilton's from Ohio, and Roebuck. So 4 out of their 9, 2 offensive linemen, a defensive lineman, and now a running back out of the Buckeye State. So, I know that anytime you talk about recruiting, whoever you're talking with, at some point the question comes up, how's Michigan doing in the state of Ohio? And the answer right now is they're doing really well.
Yeah, Danny, you watched our offensive linemen get drafted, run the ball, pass protect, the pro style stuff, and then you go, and like I just got done talking about Sharon Moore and Big Grant. You watch these guys coach, you meet them on your recruiting trip. Those are good dudes, man. And you want to play for guys like that. Ohio State, what are they doing? They're firing coaches. They're stabbing each other in the back. They got problems. So you go, there's good things happening in Ann Arbor. So all this stuff is slowly going to help recruiting. And 2 championship now we got hung up there. So
I'm with you. I also like this that you may not have seen. Rivals updated their ranking today, and Georgia's up top, LSU, Notre Dame, Florida State. Michigan has moved into the top 5 with the addition of Marshall. They don't even have Roebuck. Maybe how close are they? Maybe they might be able to get their eyes on number 4 here with a bullet, but into the top 5. And, the Michigan fans have been wondering, with the success on the field, when it was going to translate. Obviously, it really didn't do that last year. But this particular class, Michigan fans want the Wolverines to stay in the top 5. They're in the top 5 right now. They want them to stay there. I think that is achievable for this staff and for the way things are going with Michigan and the kind of success they're going to have on the field, what it looks like they're going to have next year. Top 5 recruiting class. This is things are lining up. Things are looking really good for Michigan, I would say.
Yeah, we're off to a good start. You got, what is that, 8, 9 commitments, and it's a long way to go. You got to keep winning and keep them in the fold. It's hard to just a commitment now is a long way off to signing that dotted line, but things are rolling, man. And just a little more. I saw that Ohio State's got the highest assistant salary pool in the Big Ten, almost. $2 million they're paying that defensive coordinator. So they got almost $9 million just for assistant coaches. And that's whatever, you got to win those still. Just wanted to point that out. I saw the TCU coach got hired by Clemson, the offensive coordinator, Garrett Riley. So, we went against a good, smart guy. No excuse though, but that's the importance of, you got to get the right assistant coaches, man. You get the right coordinator. I think Jim has a system now where we could couple coordinators could come and go, and I think I think we are what we are now on both sides of the ball. But
well, and let's wait and see what those Michigan assistants are going to get whenever Harbaugh decides. Who knows? He's got that new contract out there that he gets a big bump in his salary, and his assistants get a big bump in their salary whenever he wants to put pen to paper. I think it's just sitting there on his desk now. He may not want to sign it because, for his own personal reasons for next year when it comes to buyouts and things like that. But who knows? Maybe he will sign it, and those guys will all get a big raise.
Let me say this, and Danny, I was going to say it for our edge room, the edge players are just like I thought. Stewart is just like I thought. He's not the tallest kid, but he's like that little Robert Mathis. What was the guy that was play? Remember the little short guy come off the edge? He's got a little. What's the guy that just played with the Rams in the Super Bowl and then went to Buffalo? What's his name then? Off the edge. Miller. Got a little bit of that in him. Okay, I saw him. I love the diversity of our attack from the edge. Brendan McGregor is a good-looking big kid. He's a year older. I shook his hand. He's from my neck of the woods, so I know him a little bit now. Got to know him. Again, that's that. I played the same position, so I don't care when you played. You have a little bit of a brotherhood there, but Moore is a year older and better, and then Harrell is another kid that looked good. So that position is really, really strong, in my opinion, with good depth. I said it before. It could be better than this last year. There's 4 good players there, and I was really impressed with Stewart. So that position group is sound, just like I thought it would be. And Mike Elston does a good job coaching those guys too. And they're asked to do a lot of different things, man. I'm just, again, when you watch Michigan's defense and you see all the things they do schematically, you have to work on that stuff. You got to work on it in drills. You don't just, do it a couple times in practice, and you do it slowly in drills, and then you do it in scrimmages, and you constantly rep it. And there's a lot of that unique stuff that isn't. You got to work on it. And I just saw him working on some of these things that we don't ask guys to do often, that are different than what their positions groups ask them to normally do. And, it was good. It tells me these coaches are not missing the little things, repping them. Got to rep them.
So you got McGregor on one side and Harrell on the other. And you said you think that they're 4 deep. And so you would go Josiah Stewart, the transfer out of Coastal Carolina. Who's the 4th guy?
Or Moore. I said Brown Moore.
Derek Moore. Okay.
Yeah, those are the guys. There's some other kids in there. TJ Guy is going to get reps. He's going to compete in there. But they all looked. He don't look like a little, 18-year-old freshman.
Oh.
The kid we saw in the fall. He's now. He went through training table. He went through strength training, and you're going to see the confidence and you're going to see it. And I saw it. So a little bit of improvement from all those guys.
Derek Moore looked like an NFL guy at the spring game last year. He was teaming at Michigan for a month, and he looked like an NFL guy. I can't wait to see.
We're going to see all these guys in a couple weeks at the spring game, and
couple weeks. We're talking about a week from Saturday.
Yeah. So
go.
I'm not giving up nothing that you're going to size up anyway. I'm not talking about what there's some new things, and then you keep perfecting the stuff you're good at. But it's just great going into that. It's great for me going into that indoor building. I look up there and I see banners. Denny. Big Ten championship. Oh, you know what I forgot to talk about?
Go ahead.
Oh man, one last thing. They got a little display area. Oh, was it beautiful? Okay, this display area, it's got the Northwestern Showcase trophy. What is his name? George Jewett, or what was the guy's name?
George Jewell, I think.
Jewell. They got that one sitting there. We own that trophy.
Yeah.
And then you work down a little bit, and you got old Bunyan. You got Bunyan sitting there, right? that we got right now from the Spartans. And then you go down a little ways, and there's the brown jug sitting there. And then in between there, you got the Big East championships the last couple of years that we won. And then you got the Big Ten championship trophies sitting there that we won. And you got the playoff appearance trophies.
Playoff.
But it was it's just it's a section of real estate that is just awesome, man. It's like there's a lot of hard work there to get the jug, to get Bunyan, and good to see it all hanging out in Ann Arbor, man. We got banners hanging, and we got trophies that those players got to walk by. I bet Jim don't have that stuff sitting in some closet somewhere. He's got it out there so those players see it. The recruits see it. Parents see it. It's right there, man. Right between the locker room and the walk to the practice field. So I was loving that, and I was going to take a picture, but I don't know but I don't know what they allow me to do, so I didn't do it. Well, yeah, you're right, Eddie. We need a national championship trophy, but we're swinging, man. We're swinging. We're right in there.
Hey, I would not put it past Michigan this year, which is something else. It is nice. It's you want to have a full trophy case. If they lose some of those, yeah, you might want to adjust the decorations there, get them all out of the hallway there. I'll check. I would guess that the spring game is going to be live streamed, but you never know. Harbaugh might have something up his sleeve where, the Big Ten Network, nope, we're not having, but they are having one this year, they said. So I am going to say that it's at 3:30 as well. I would say that the game would be live on the Big Ten Network. But that's just a guess, but I would say that it's likely. So I'll see if I can double check on that. All right, Scar, any last final word?
No, I'll get into secondary tight ends. The new tight ends look. There's some things there, but yeah, man, I'm fired up too, Harvey. We're fired up, man. There's a lot to be fired up for. Everything looks good, man. I mean, we got good players, good coaches, and we're led by the right guy. And Big Scar and Big D are trying to bring it to you, man. Bring the wisdom.
I love it, Scar. Great job. I can't wait to talk with you next week.
All right, D, go Blue.